In this video, I'd like to introduce the procedures for medical device approval in Korea. Here's the following 7 learning objectives during this module. I'll introduce who we are, procedures for entering domestic market, structure of Korean medical device regulations, introduction to the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, which is called MFDS, and other relevant government organizations, medical device approval procedures in Korea, GMP certificate process, and the option of appointing medical device importer. We are a specialized concerning firm and we assist with market research, entry procedures, and regulatory investigations for entering the Korean market. We provide support for regulatory approvals and KGMP certification by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, known as MFDS, under the Medical Device and In Vitro Diagnostic Device Act. Also, we assist with insurance reimbursement under the National Health Insurance Regulations, evaluations of new medical technologies under the Medical Services Act, and the appointment of innovative medical technologists, including post-run evaluation and innovative technology identification under the Medical Device Industry Act. Our services also cover clinical data support, developing defense for administrative investigations by the MFDS, license holding, and facilitating distribution through local agents, which is common for domestic distribution. First, I would like to explain the market entry procedures. There are 4 stages for the market entry process. The laws operated by each administrative departments are referred to as administrative laws. The Medical Device Act is governed by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, known as MFDS. Once the product receives approval from the MFDS, the next step is the insurance reimbursement process, which is governed by the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Medical devices must be approved by the MFDS depending on their classification. Once the products have been approved, the KGMP certificates must be obtained to ensure that the manufactured products maintain the same quality as at the time of approval. Under the National Health Insurance Act, if it is deemed to correspond to an existing procedure, it is considered a product used in a previously by the Health Insurance Review and Assessment Service HIRA, making insurance claims and patients billing possible. If the product is identified as new medical tech rather than an existing one, it must pass the New Medical Technology Assessment. While the Medical Device Act evaluates the safety and efficacy of the product itself, the New Medical Tech Assessment under the Medical Services Act evaluates the safety and efficacy of the medical procedure and the use of the product. Recently, many innovative products have been entering the market. In the past, if a product underwent a New Medical Tech Assessment and was recognized as New Medical Tech, it could be registered for insurance reimbursement. However, if the safety and efficacy were not proven through the assessment, the tech was classified as experimental and had failed to enter the market. There are 2 tracks such as post-run evaluation and innovative technology, and these tracks tend to provide special benefits. Post-run evaluation applies to new medical tech which have submitted partial clinical data at the time of MFDS product approval and have no significant safety issues. When granted post-run evaluation, the technology can be used in the market as a non-reimbursed service for up to 2 years. After this period, a new medical tech assessment must be applied once again. This enables companies to use the technology non-reimbursed for 2 years, during which they can conduct their clinical studies and collect more evidence, proving a special benefit for the new medical tech assessment. Innovative Medical Technology System provides special benefits to technologies deemed to have potential but are classified as experimental due to insufficient clinical data during the new medical tech assessment. These are given the opportunity to collect clinical data for 3 to 5 years. After this period, the accumulated clinical data can be submitted once again, and if safety and effectiveness are demonstrated, this tech is then verified by HIRA and can be registered for insurance reimbursed. Once the determination is made, the product can be used in the market. Next, let me explain the medical device regulations. The regulations under the Medical Device Act classified into 3 sections: the enforcement rule of the medical device, the regulations on the distribution and sales order of medical devices, and regulations of veterinary drugs. The enforcement rule of the medical device as governed by the MFDS. It aims to ensure the safety management of medical devices used in humans and includes specific requirements by the higher level medical device regulation. The regulations on the distribution and sales order of medical devices are an enforcement rule, indicating the provisions of economic benefits in accordance with the dual punishment system for rebates introduced in 2011. This rule is managed by the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Under the enforcement rules, there is public notice by the MFDS, and these notifications are created based on delegation from the enforcement rule of the Medical Device Act, and there are approximately 30 types of notifications issued by the MFDS. As MFDS evaluates the safety and efficacy of products, it has established standards as administrative regulations and notifications, which are legally binding. These regulations have the force of law. International standards such as IEC 60601-1 or ISO 10993, covering common criteria for mechanical safety, electromagnetic safety, and biological safety of medical devices. Violations of these standards result in significant sanctions, which are enforced in three main ways. As you can see from the slide, there are three ways in violations. The administrative measures are directed towards the company in question. These measures include actions such as suspending business operations for a certain period. If a product is distributed without getting permission, punitive fines are applied, which may amount to twice the sales revenue achieved from the sale of the unauthorized product. Reporting actions such as criminal prosecution of actors. It could be individuals or entities. If medical devices without license are distributed, the perpetrators may face imprisonment for up to 5 years or fines of up to 50 million. Corrective action orders are directed towards the company in question as they have caused harm to the public. These orders require the prompt recall and disposal of the products involved in the violation. And let's get into the introduction to government organizations. The MFDS is responsible for the safety management of medical devices, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and other related products. It oversees various affiliated committees and divisions to ensure compliance with safety regulations. Below the MFDS, there are numerous affiliated divisions tasked with specific functions related to the safety management. It operates 6 regional offices located in Seoul, Busan, Gyeongin, Daegu, Gwangju, and Daejeon. The MFDS and its affiliated divisions work together to ensure the safety and compliance of medical devices and other products. Under the MFDS, there is a separate department responsible for evaluation and approval. This department, which operates as a separate research organization, is called the NIFDS, where professionals with doctor's or master's degrees in research conduct evaluations. There are departments responsible for implementing the Medical Device Act. One of the key divisions is the Medical Device Safety Information Center, take the responsibility of the reporting and certification of Class 1 or Class 2 medical devices. Also, it is responsible for tasks such as supply history and UDI registration. Moreover, there is a Medical Device Quality Inspection Division. There are 7 organizations working on technical documentation review for Class 2 medical devices, and there are 139 institutions for clinical trials and 14 institutions for conducting tests such as those specified in IEC 60601 or ISO 10993. To advertise medical devices, approval must be attained through self-regulatory advertising review, and there are 2 organizations. Let's go through a brief overview of the approval process. To understand the approval process, it is important to first determine whether the product falls under the medical devices according to the Medical Devices Act. In this regard, there is a definition provided in Article 2 of the Medical Device Act. If the product is a machine, apparatus, device, material, software, or similar items, it is interpreted as a medical devices under the Medical Devices Act. For example, products used for diagnosing, treating, correcting, inspecting, replacing, or modifying structures or functions related to injuries or disabilities used for birth controls are classified into 4 classes. Once it has been classified as a medical device, the next step is to determine its classification. In South Korea, medical devices are classified into 4 classes. Class 1 device indicates minimal potential for harm, and Class 4 devices represents a high potential for harm. The assessment of potential harm is based on factors such as the duration of contact between the product and the body, the degree of invasiveness, whether the device delivers drugs or energy to the patient, and the extent of biological impact on the patient. And as you can see from this slide, each medical device is assigned a classification number and the name. With the classification system in place, it's important to understand the procedures for notification, certification, and approval. Notification indicates the products already declared as Class 1 medical devices. Certification is for Class 2 medical devices and approval engaged in Class 3 and 4 medical devices. Let's look at the procedures for notification and certifications. For products subject to notifications, the process involves submitting an application to the Medical Device Safety Information Center appointed by the MFDS. They review and approve the notification submission. As for certifications, the process has been subdivided through the technical document review organizations. After the review on the safety and efficacy of the Class 2 products, a certificate of compliance can be issued. The institutions responsible for certificates or notifications are identified as a Medical Device Safety Information Center. There are 7 appointed organizations for technical document review, and since the KGMP must be submitted for certification, it's crucial to secure KGMP certificates first. The approval process is straightforward. You submit an application directly to the MFDS. This application includes a technical document review with test data proving safety and efficacy, KGMP certificates, and in cases where there is no equivalent product, clinical trial data. It is essential to note that the MFDS first reviews the submitted documents to ensure it complies with requirements. For example, whether the experimental results were gained from GLP certified institution. Following this review, if the safety and effectiveness is satisfactory, then you're good to go. And let's go through the KGMP certification process. GMP certification process can be briefly explained as follows. KGMP stands for Korea Good Manufacturing Practice, which is essentially a Korean version of the quality system certificates. It is based on the global standard ISO 13485-2016, but includes additional requirements specific to the Korean medical device regulations. These requirements cover aspects such as adverse event reports mandated by Korean regulations, but not explicitly addressed in ISO 13485. The KGMP assessment ensures that these requirements are incorporated into the quality management system. And here's the entire process of KGMP certification. The KGMP assessment process involves verifying whether procedures and other requirements are implemented based on ISO 13485 as the foundation. When an importer applies for this, the actual assessment takes place through document review or a combination of documents and on-site inspection. The assessment process consists of 4 types: initial, regular, change, and additional assessment. The initial assessment refers to the first assessment conducted when a manufacturer applies for KGMP certificates for the first time. During this process, a full-scope assessment based on ISO 13485 is usually conducted. Regular assessments occur every 3 years for manufacturers who have already received KGMP certificates. Like the initial, regular assessments also involve a full-scope review. Change assessments are required when there are changes or expansions to the location of a manufacturer who has previously undergone an assessment. Finally, additional assessments may be verified when there are other specific requirements beyond the initial or change assessment. Initial, regular, change, or additional assessment determines the type of assessment, standalone or joint, and whether it's conducted on-site or through document review. For example, standalone assessments are solely conducted by KGMP private assessment organizations appointed by the regulatory authority. Joint assessments involve both regulatory authority personnel and KGMP assessment organizations conducting on-site assessment together. For initial or regular assessment, on-site and document assessments are mandatory. However, for additional assessment, document assessment may be sufficient. In the case of change assessment, the general practice involves on-site and document assessment. Let's go through the qualifications of importers. In Korean regulations, importers of medical devices are entrusted with obligations such as compliance with the importer procedures under the Medical Devices Act and adverse events reports. As you can see from this slide, there are three types of importers. Entities like our company holding licenses can also serve as importers. We can facilitate the entry of foreign manufacturers into Korea as the process for obtaining permits or insurance reimbursement can be lengthy. These are the overview of the initial steps required for entering the Korean market in terms of medical devices regulations, GMP procedures, and importer qualifications. If you have any other questions regarding this module, please feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you.